Welcome back, YouTubers and Madden fans. This is MADDENMONEYSHOT, sniffing out the Madden cheese as always. Got some plays for you today out of the West Coast playbook. I'm in one of the most unique playbooks in the game. So unique, in fact, that at least one of the running plays, probably both of them, are not even in custom playbooks. You cannot even find the running plays that I'm going to show you today in any other playbook except for the West Coast, including custom, like I said. So to me, this is a true hidden gem. A lot of people like to use the West Coast playbook, but if you don't have access to this, say you play, regular CFM or whatnot, you really don't have a choice. You're going to have to either use the West Coast playbook, like a lot of people do in MUT, or you're just asked out. But either way, like I said, this is one of the better run plays in the game, and it's really close. It models itself in a lot of ways after a toss play out of the Saints playbook that everybody was using like crazy last year. It's still a pretty good run play, but a lot of people know that based off the formation. When you come out in it, I think it's the single back tight or something like that. I'm not even entirely sure to remember the name because I haven't used it. But it's the quick pitch there, the halfback pitch. Like I said, it should look familiar. It looks a lot like the one from the Saints that I used it a lot last year. It's a really good play, but like I said, based off of the look being so unique, people are not going to recognize this, so you should get the upper hand as far as when you call it, people aren't going to necessarily suspect it right away. So the setup's essentially the same, but either way, it's a really good play. So let's go ahead and let's pick that. And then we'll go random 3-4 on defense. It doesn't really matter. We're just going to go with the heaviest thing. Like I said, when you run this play out of the Saints, that's really why this play gets shut down. It's still an effective play, but based off of the formation, people recognize it so easily that they essentially, they just shut it down. They just figure out defenses for it because it was so dominant last year. Now, you can run this play as is, flip it to the other side. It's not going to be as effective as if you run it like this typical way, but there are going to be opportunities. I want to point those out. Like right here, I just feel like if you have the outside edge, because you still have a tight end blocking on that one side. This is not going to be the way that you typically run it the most, but if you have the outside edge where that tight end looks like it'll give you the edge, it's a good opportunity to run it. You'll also have opportunities to run it if it's a man coverage. Now, if you motion this guy across, obviously the defender follows. Now you have nothing but space on the outside. There's no real outside defender on the other side of the field. You have to know that ahead of time because obviously if you motion him back, your opponent might know what you're doing. So if you're playing against somebody that's running a lot of man coverages, just know that going into it that you can probably get yourself a really big play if you motion this guy across and then just run to the short side of the field. But that's pretty basic when it comes to Madden. A lot of times these tosses are more effective against man coverage if you run it in that way. So that's just something to remember. But typically you're going to want to run it with the bunch. You're going to want to run it just like I said with the Saints play. Like I said, the name of the play is evading my memory, but you did the same thing last year. You motioned over one of these receivers to the point where you would motion snap them. Like I said, you don't want to bring the guy across in man like I just did. That was not, I made a bit of a mistake there. It's going to cost me. You're going to see here I only get about 6-7 yards, which is still a pretty good set. If you can get that every time you run it, it's not bad, but this is a much more explosive play. You should get 25 to 30 yards pretty consistently here if you run it correctly. Like right there, the guy was motioning in too far, so I hiked the ball. You know what I'm saying? If you motion the guy across and that defender doesn't stop outside the box, which typically they will, Madden's AI will not cross the line once the box of the linebackers and the defensive line gets approached. They'll either stop, like there, he goes across, so I'm going to go ahead and hike it because I don't want to bring that extra defender across. I still almost messed up there. You have to be careful not to snap it to the point where a lot of times the motion receiver will actually get in the way of the toss. You got to be careful of that. But if I'm motioning him across and that defender doesn't stop, I want to hike it right away when he's behind the right tackle or behind the tight end to the point where I don't bring an extra defender across. And that'll help to confuse your opponent as well because a lot of times people will motion snap receivers to run dives and stuff like that. This particular playbook doesn't have a dive, but some of the other playbooks that have this same formation will have a dive, and you can mix that in pretty well. So right here, like I said, I'm gonna do it two different ways. I can stop that receiver, or I can motion snap him. Stopping him will come in handy in part two. I'm going to do a part two of this with pass plays, where a lot of times, obviously, stopping the receiver in the bunch is going to be more effective than motion snap, running routes and stuff like that, because that can actually have a negative effect. So for part 2, if you guys want to see part 2, make sure you hit the like button, let me know in the comment section. And I have a passing scheme out of this, which is basically a home run against whatever defense you see. You know what I'm saying? I have it for cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, you name it. I have some plays out of this particular playbook that will take care of everything. Other than that, like I said, you just want to make sure that you're aware of what you're working on, man or zone. The man, to simplify this as simple as possible, you'll beat man more to the open side, you'll beat zone more to the bunch side. So that's the easiest way to put it. It's not necessarily case in point, but that's just the easiest way to remember for people that don't know. And then here, I'm just going to get a little bit lucky. I tried to spin out of that, didn't really work out, but it's all good. So let's go ahead and let's show. There's one more play out of this that's, once again, I don't think it's in any other playbook, but it's not nearly as good. It's the only other run play in this entire formation. It's the ace power right there, which I actually overshot. It's the halfback ace power. Pretty much the exact same idea as far as setup. You're going to run it with the same principles involved. But to me, it's somewhat of an inside run, but I still think that for the most part it works best bouncing into the outside. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. So random 3-4 again. But all you're really going to do, like I said, you have the option to run inside. Running it without the motion can be helpful as far as confusing your opponent, but it's still going to be best if you motion the guy over to make him either a motion block or run it But like I said, it's like the same run, because most times you're taking it outside, you're just less equipped because it forces you up the middle a little bit. But it's good to mix that in, because you don't want to run the same run play over and over and over. And then luckily you have a second run play to run, which can be pretty effective. But if you use the motion, they're probably going to expect the ball is going to be coming in that area. But a lot of times they'll be shooting outside and they'll over pursue. That's why having an inside run to mix in with that's pretty good. So like I said, not as good as the first run play, but definitely a good run play to have. So like I said, if you want to see passing plays based off of this exact same setup, this exact same formula, do me a favor, like button. I'll do that next. Other than that, thanks for watching, man. Money Shot out. Need more help or just want to show your support? Then head over to my Patreon and join my team, where you can get exclusive content like ebooks and bonus plays, as well as early access to my vids and more. Link in the description below.